Okay, welcome back to this step-by-step process on trying to restore this very cheap but very enjoyable Kona guitar. I took the masking tape off, the painter's tape, after cleaning the frets. I do have a couple frets that have some pretty deep gouges in there at the B string, the first fret, the second fret, and the third fret particularly. I think the gouges are too low for me to try to sand and file, it's not sand, but file them down and recrown them. I think I would probably be taking too much of the fret off, and I don't want to refret this guitar because it's kind of just not worth it. But what I did notice, and you can't really see it in the picture, and by the way, check out the grain on this neck. I think a good comment, if you will, but I think a good neck is supposed to have straight grain, and it looks like this one, it's beautiful, but I wouldn't say that the grain on this is necessarily straight. It's unique. I don't know what kind of species of wood it is, but and it's pretty, but it's not straight grain, and I think straight grain probably improves the integrity of the wood. I'm going to put some oil on this neck just to condition it. I'm going to put some oil on this base plate because it needs it as well, bridge plate. So I think lemon oil is used a lot. I think linseed oil is used a lot. I don't have either one of those two at present, but I do have my wife's lavender oil. So I'm going to use lavender oil on this. Again, comment, if you will, on whether or not this is a good idea, bad idea, or indifferent. It should work either way. I'd love to get your thoughts on it, but since I have this and since it is natural oil, lemon oil, lavender oil, they both start with L. They both have oil at the end. I figure they'll work, but curious to see your comments. And if it doesn't work, it'll at least be a really good smelling guitar. Okay, thanks. Trying to hold the camera while I apply drops of oil to the neck. Probably, I'm curious to see how much it soaks in, how much it doesn't. But for now, just want to get a fair amount of oil on there. You can always buff the oil out if it's not soaking in. But I think you want the oil to really penetrate the wood, soak in there, and condition the wood. So you want a lot of this to be able to penetrate and get into the wood. So I have oil all around each fret. Just gonna rub it across the entire fret with my finger. I'll wait a minute or two and see how much it's the saturation is, and if it's getting into the pores of the wood and soaking in. If the wood is quote unquote drinking it up, then that's a good thing, but I might need to even use more oil. If the oil is sitting on top and just kind of sitting there, then that's not a bad thing, and that just means that the neck is better conditioned than I thought. Any excess oil I'll use over here on the bridge plate to condition that as well. This one you can kind of see that it's doing a good job taking it in. So you see the difference between what's in front of the saddle and what's behind the saddle. So this bridge plate was asking for some help, and it's getting it. So that's a good thing. I think when you apply oil, linseed oil, natural oils like this to the guitar, it kind of makes the guitar, one, should last longer and withstand the elements better. Like if you get like dry temperatures, or it should be able to help withstand that, and the wood won't dry and crack. But also, it looks a lot better. So if there's other reasons and other things I'm leaving out for why to condition your bridge plate and your frets, please let me know. But already, when you look at this fretboard now, compared to the beginning of the video, it's amazing what the oil has done to the grain and how much it brings out the nuances of the grain. So very cool. This, I guess this oil is working. Lavender oil. There's a great song by Marillion called Lavender from the 80s. So I digress. but it is a cool song. Check it out. Okay, I don't think I need more. I believe that this oil is sitting nicely on top, but I'm going to wait a good minute or two and see if it sets in or not, and see if it needs more. But in looking at this, sorry, my camera work is terrible. I'm under the impression in looking at this that I put plenty of oil on this and it doesn't need any more. But I'll wait a few minutes, I'll check it out and take a look. Probably get a brush. I have another one of my daughter's paintbrushes, so I'll probably get a brush and just kind of paint the inside corners here. Just make sure that the oil is getting into any exposed dry area of the wood. But if you take a look at it, try to get it with the right light. It looks good. I'm happy with that. I'm going to clean the body of the guitar, the front, back, and sides, and the neck, and the headstock, and get that as clean as I can. Take out any kind of surface scratches. One thing I do need to do is adjust the truss rod, because I don't think that truss rod has been adjusted in a while, and I want to make sure that it can be adjusted and can maneuver well. So that's one thing I'm going to do, is make sure the truss rod is functioning before I throw new strings on this. Okay, and I do have to put a saddle in the bridge plate, and saddle is on order. I should get it hopefully tomorrow and be able to work on the saddle. So that's all for now. I appreciate you watching. I'm going to get a clean rag and buff off any excess on this, and we'll see what the finished product looks like. Please leave the comments on whether or not there's a better way to do this, a different way to do this. If you think I'm crazy for working with what I have available and not like ordering new stuff. Cheap guitar, I don't mind cutting corners, but honestly, I think everything is working out pretty well. Anyway, thanks for watching. Okay, welcome back, and thanks for joining, and thanks for being along for the ride. If you've been with me through the beginning, you've seen that we took the strings off of this guitar. The saddle was badly cracked. The guitar was filthy, had not been cleaned in forever. So a little bit of work and love was needed for this guitar. We're going to replace the saddle, and we took the strings off, and then I decided, why don't I try to condition the neck? And we did some steel wool on the frets, and we did some lavender oil on the fretboard. We did some, I noticed that the bridge plate was peeling away from the body of the guitar, so I took some Titebond glue with a paintbrush. I put Titebond glue underneath the bridge plate here, and then used 30-pound barbells to apply pressure. The barbells were halfway on the bridge plate, and then halfway across and off to the side, and a second 30-pound barbell here that went off to the side. Okay, so it was glued under pressure, and it seemed to work very well. I don't see the bridge plate is peeling up. I do see a little bit of tape there that I have to scrape off with an X-Acto knife, so I'll do that. Maybe a little bit there too, and a little there. But I conditioned the bridge plate with some oil and wiped it off. It looks really good, and the frets look really good. I put the oil on and then wiped them down with a cloth, and they look really good. One thing that I have this truss rod on fairly tight to provide some relief in the neck, and one thing that I forgot is that with no strings on it, the truss rod is probably going to pull the neck forward to where it might pull forward too much. So I want to just relieve this neck and take the bow out of it while it is unstrung and while I'm working on it. And that way, one, I can check to see if the truss rod is still working and active, if I didn't break it over the course of the years. And two, I can always tighten it up again once I string the guitar, and once the pull and the torque of the strings pull the neck over, I can use a truss rod to straighten the neck back. So right now I'm just going to turn the truss rod, and a couple things about truss rod. So righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, but if I turn it right, it's going to pull the truss rod and pull the neck it's going to pull the neck back and down. Okay, so it would pull the neck down this way to pull the strings back, if you will. Lefty would loosen the truss rod and allow the neck to relax and to come up a little bit. Okay, so if you think about it this way, turning it righty should bring the neck down. Turning it left should release the neck and let it come up. Okay, so that's kind of the idea behind that. I'm gonna, give this a turn, see how, and another thing about truss rods, don't turn it, if you haven't adjusted your truss rod in a while, I don't think it's good to tighten it first. Okay, the truss rod could be kind of locked and stuck in that position, and I think loosening it before tightening it is probably a good thing to do. So I'm just going to loosen it a little bit. Oh, that loosened nice. So I'm going to just give it another little half a turn, but I can feel that the threading is engaged. The truss rod is doing what it's supposed to do. I can tell that the truss rod is working, and I can feel it getting looser as I go. So I'm happy about that. The truss rod is not busted on a cheap guitar like this. Okay, that is actually more loose than I want. So I'm going to tighten it up a little bit. But I know that this truss rod, or I feel good that this truss rod is working. So that's cool. Another thing about this Kona guitar, on my other Kona guitar, it says that the truss rod is a two-way truss rod. I don't know that this one is, but the other one is. And I don't know if that really even matters. But that's just the idea of how to use this truss rod for you. So, okay, the neck is quote-unquote relieved or loose, and I can put the strings on and then adjust the neck with strings under tension. So I'm going to clean the guitar up a little bit, and then hopefully after cleaning the guitar, we'll put the saddle in. It's going to take some slow and baby steps to get the saddle right, and then string it up and see how it sounds. So thanks for joining.